Hey everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to the latest episode of the Restaurant Growth Podcast by 7 Shifts. I'm DJ, your host, and on this show, we bring together the best minds in the restaurant industry to bring you big insights and new ideas to help your restaurant grow. Today on the show, we welcome Chris Smith. Chris is the founder and CEO of Zunzi's and Zunzibar, a South African-inspired sandwich shop and bar with locations in Savannah and Atlanta, Georgia. Chris also has his title, Protector of the Promise. What does that mean? Well, Zunzi's is unabashed about their strong culture with the goal of not only making a great place to work, but improving the lives of the people that work there as well as the community around them. We get into just how they go about doing that and more in the latest episode. As always, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line at podcast@7shifts.com. Tell us what you think, who you want to hear. And without further ado, here is Chris. Chris, how are you today?
Living the dream, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Living the dream too. Welcome and thank you for joining our podcast.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So let's just kick it right off. Tell us a little bit about Zunzi's, how you started it, and how you got your start in the restaurant hospitality industry.
You got it. So Zunzi's is a South African-inspired takeout, delivery, and sandwich shop. We started in Savannah, Georgia in 2005. It was started by our original founders, Johnny and Gabby De Beer. South African guy who married a Swiss gypsy, kind of a crazy lady. We kind of joke around. She's like the most interesting woman in the world. And then working at a Greek restaurant on the river in Savannah. And I found Zunzi's. It sounds like it's almost like a religion. I found Zunzi's, though, when I was a Five Guys franchisee in Savannah.
Oh, wow.
So I got into restaurant business. I was really had no intent of being in the restaurant business. Had an intent to own my own business someday. My plan was to go to law school, went to the University of Florida. And while I was there around 2005, 2006, tried Five Guys burgers and fries when I was in school there, back visiting with family. And kind of long story short, it snowballed into a conversation with my parents. Instead of me making money going to law school, them taking that money they said they would pay for law school and buying Five Guys franchises in coastal Georgia and South Carolina while I was in college. So massive leap of faith for them, which shows, very good parents probably believing a little bit too much in their son in doing that, but took that leap. And then I actually worked Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays my senior year in 2006 to train at Five Guys with a franchisee. I was their first mentor in their mentorship program they were rolling out. And then opened up about 6 months later, and it was off to the races, baptism by fire, as they say.
Very cool. Did they need any convincing, really, or they were just kind of down for it when you pitched that to them?
Yeah, we always grew up with my dad making Super Dave burgers, and it was like, it was always the best burger that we would have, and so we always enjoyed burgers. And then, we ate there, and we're like, man, this is like the best burger out there. It's pretty much a bona fide fancy hamburger stand, and I was like, that's something I could actually do. And then it snowballed into doing it.
Very cool. So when did you make the jump from the Five Guys to Zunzi's?
Yeah, so the process was our development agreement with Five Guys, which we started in our first location open in 2007, was for 7 locations. So ended up building 3 locations in the first 2 years. So it was a really quick startup. Had 3 at the time I was 23, and was almost on the edge of burning out at that stage, but stopped the growth. Hired a director of operations, hired an office manager, and sort of scale up our small business. And then that set into open up 4 more locations through 2015. Did that. But
very cool.
Tried Zunzi's in 2008 when I had moved to Savannah to open our second location, and fell in love with it. Actually, that first time I was there, everybody had said, go try this amazing hole-in-a-wall dive sandwich shop. And I rolled up there, and there was a line of 50 people, and the patio had these janky, old rainbow umbrellas with secondhand furniture pieced together, and people eating on buckets next to a grease trap and a dumpster. And it was just had all of the character that you would imagine of an old hole-in-a-wall sandwich shop. And so in that moment, as I was eating a conquistador and drinking our South African tea, I said, someday I'm going to buy this and franchise this model. And so I kind of put that out in the ether. And I would go by at least once a month, talk to Johnny if Gabby was there and she was in the kitchen, say hi to her, and always ask him, hey, if you ever want to sell our franchise, let me know. And so I got a call, actually my downtown Five Guys location. So happy I had a good manager who was there at the time. Answer the phone, and it was Johnny's trying to get a hold of me, saying he wants to sell his restaurant. And so immediately the manager called me. I'm happy he didn't throw it in the red book or something and just get lost. And so I got that phone call, and at that time I was looking at other franchises, and nothing was getting me super excited. So it was the perfect timing. We were looking to diversify our portfolio, and I was like, man, I'm not 30 yet. I still got a little bit of energy in the tank, and let's go ahead and kind of get to the other side. And so that's what set it off.
Very cool. And then, so now you have the second location in Atlanta. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the process at that time, we bought it at the end of 2014 and immediately put a point of sale system in, got our sales mix, tried to do everything we could operationally to streamline operations, build sales, get our costs, everything in line, because it was a mom and pop. And you can kind of run that a little different, but with our goals, we had to put some systems in place. And so we did that for about 2 years, got it to where it needed to be, almost doubled sales in that amount of time. And then we said, okay, let's figure out what a prototypical location would be. And at that time, our model was looking to be like what our Atlanta location was, which was just a fast casual takeout delivery sandwich shop, and cap 2,000 square feet. And so we did that in 2018, opened that location and spent a lot of time on R&D to develop our menu. We opened the Atlanta location, and we went there because we wanted to learn. It wasn't a situation of let's open a restaurant and make some money. It was let's open a restaurant in a market where we don't have brand awareness and really pressure test the model. And so we spent 2 years refining that, getting it to where it needed to be. Then COVID hit. And so we got COVID, 2 locations operating. And I said, okay, let's go back to our home base, close, Atlanta had more challenges with COVID than Savannah did. So closed that for a few months. Yeah. And then focused on Savannah and doing that. And during that time, our lease ran out of that location. And so we were having to find a spot. After 15 years, the landlord didn't want a restaurant anymore. It was an old office building. And really, it was a blessing in disguise. A fantastic piece of real estate became available 2 blocks away. We were able to pull the trigger on that. And that's what triggered us to create our new model, which is Zunzi's plus Zunzibar, which were our takeout delivery sandwich shop operating in 600 square feet, but we lead with a full beach bar experience. So full liquor, beer, and wine. And it's really transformed our entire operation to where we were, a $1.6 million model, and which is great for a fast casual, and especially with what we do. And now our model is trending almost to 4 million. Wow,
that's amazing. Those alcohol sales really give you a little boost.
Yeah, so right now it's about 25% of our sales. Really, what it did for us is it allowed us to operate in what we now consider the experience side of the business. Before, we were just a sandwich shop and no food, a lot of takeout, delivery, and catering. And so that bucket was convenience. And so now post-COVID, people are certainly used to convenience, third-party delivery, online ordering, all of the tech that's really impacted the restaurant business. That's our core business. We've thrived through that. But now with the reopening of the economy and people are craving an experience. People really aren't anymore just, leaving the house to go eat a meal to fill the hunger need that's there. They want to get up. They want to go out, have a good time, have a full experience. And so we've built that whole restaurant and really the bar to lead the experience, live music, experiential marketing in there. It's perfect for Instagram, TikTok, everything that you want to be able to market your business.
Absolutely. And another big piece of that marketing that I see is talking about your culture. I know you have a tagline, and on the website as well, you're listed as the protector of the promise. So tell me a little bit more about Zunzi's culture.
Right. So having been a franchisee, I definitely have a strong feeling that culture is one of the big differentiators between the most successful brands and the ones that aren't. And I think it's critically important as you go into franchising to have a super well-defined culture that really on steroids. I joke around the first 4 letters of culture is cult. And so if it's not that strong and you can't talk about it that way, then not in a negative way, but a franchisee is probably going to water it down a little bit. So it's got to be 126%. So that way, if it's diluted a little bit, it's still going to be there. And we spent a couple of years really focusing on defining that. I even took 2 years in that time where I had Five Guys and Zunzi's to figure out my life purpose, and said, if I'm going to go business and go all in on this, I know it's going to be really hard. I've already done it once as a franchisee. It's going to be really hard as a franchisor to get to that stage. I need to align my life purpose with my business purpose and figure that out. So I really took that to heart, and it's been very fulfilling in the process. So going back to the title, you've got Protector of the Promise. And what that is that's our motto, which is shit yeah. Shit yeah is it's our motto. It started with Johnny at our original location. It was just kind of this fun thing with his South African accent. He would say, shit yeah, baby. What I recognized when I bought it was our team was saying it, and equally as important, our fans were saying it. I'd walk down the street in a Zunzi shirt and you'd hear a shit yeah from Allie or something. And like, what's the value for a brand that your guests are actually saying your motto? There's just do it, but I'm not sure how many people see a pair of Nike shoes and say just do it, or if they eat a McDonald's burger.
Right. Yeah.
I'm loving it, but if they see it right now, they say shit yeah. And so there's a lot of equity in that, even in just a single location.
Absolutely.
And so I, saw that and I said, okay, well, that's going to be our brand promise. So it's our promise that whenever anybody engages with our business as a customer, we want them to leave saying shit yeah.
Nice.
And
what is that? I'll go ahead.
Yeah. And so it's different than being the best sandwich or the best product. It's a feeling that's associated with it. It means we connected with that fan, that guest, we turned them into a fan. And so even, there's some reviews out there that they'll put an essay on Yelp or Google, and I'm scanning it. I'm like, if they didn't say shit yeah, we didn't check the box. It may be a 5-star review and it's a perfect review, but it's missing really that intangible that we didn't connect with the guest, and we're very focused on that. It's actually expanded as we've grown the business and we've seen the impact of all of the stakeholders. It's now our promise to our 6 stakeholders. And so in that order, we've got our team is number 1, our franchisees number 2, you've got our fans number 3, our communities 4, vendors, and then investors. And so we want, as we make decisions, we want to make decisions that we know our team is going to say shit yeah. And then it moves all the way up in that order: team, franchisees, you've got your fans. And a good example of that is I went into a very, very popular fast casual chain, and there's a lot of decisions that are made from the boardroom, and there's a disconnect in the front line. And so there was a national chain that had rolled out a vegan option. I went in there, asked for the manager to get their feedback on it. It was a bunch of ads on the Super Bowl, and I asked them about it, and they go, "Don't get it. Get the other vegan option." Millions of dollars in marketing, and you go, "There's a disconnect there. Thousands of locations, and there's that issue." And so I think culture can really close that gap.
Absolutely. And what did that process look like? Developing that culture, and how did you really? Was there a moment that you knew you needed to develop it more? And then how do you go in and sit down and really kind of hammer it out? Give yourself, the language is important. How you present it is important. What was that process like?
Yeah. So in that process of figuring out my life purpose and trying to figure out what I really enjoy about the business, I really enjoyed my time at Five Guys, where I was able to see our team members start off, drink the company Kool-Aid, and just work with us and be promoted from within, and watch their life change in the process. Go from being a fry cook all the way up to being a GM, benefits and making money, and they're buying a car and a house and having a family and kids. And they really took the opportunity by the horns and ran with it. And that was extremely fulfilling, especially as a hands-on franchisee. But for as many of those cases as there were also these situations which, if you're a restaurant operator, you fully understand this. You'll invest all of this time in these and some of the team members. It's high risk human capital. Meaning you can invest 3 years to get someone who would they're about to be a GM to open your next location. And 2 weeks before opening, they're like, "Sorry, Chris, I got to move to, Tennessee for whatever reason." And you're like, "But we spent 3 years and they feel bad about it." And it's almost like Houdini, they just disappear. And it wasn't the things necessarily that we were doing in the business to cause it. It was always things in their life. It could be an addiction that we don't know about. It could be a bad relationship. It could be they made more money and now they're spending too much and they're in over their head. They don't know how to manage it. It could be just the stress of now this new role, and the things in their life are making that it's kind of overwhelming them. Their life isn't able to support the new responsibilities and the time associated with it. So I said, man, we got to figure out something that can really be focused on the team member and improving their life. And kind of have a pulse on it. And I think great managers, they do that. They know what's going on in their team members' lives. They're having those 1-minute conversations a day, to have a pulse. Yeah, I really wanted to make that the key is that our team isn't just becoming a better sandwich maker or bartender or whatever, but their life is getting better in the process. And it's an aspirational goal of the company. I think goals be aspirational. They should pull you towards where you're trying to go. And so from a business standpoint, you say we have some things. We've got big, bright rainbow umbrellas that are pretty cool. We've got a motto, that's shit. Yeah. We've got an interesting menu. The name Zunzi is, a lot of things to work with. And I said, this rainbow umbrella is kind of ending up to be a symbol of the company. And I said, what if that could represent a team member's life? And so you'd say there's 8 areas of your life. So there's different areas that we just talked about. That the rainbow umbrella represents your team member's life or anybody's life for that. 8 areas of your life. You've got your body, your health, you got your mind, your emotions, your mental state. You've got your relationships that you have. You've got your time. You have your career. You've got your finances, your money. You've got a sense of giving and celebrating your life, and you have your spiritual and life purpose. Yeah. What we would like to have in our life is to where each of those areas we feel really good about it. When you really analyze your life and you look at it in different areas and you rate them from 1 to 10 and say, physically, I feel like I'm a 4, and well, then why? Right. And then mentally, I feel like I'm an 8, and financially, I'm a 3. If you add all that together and divide it by 8, you now have a life score. And then, so it's a quick way to say, hey, how are you doing in life? And then how can you, make some changes in that? And as a company, when I was developing all of that, I was like, man, a way to really prove this out is what if we got to, 100, 200, 300 locations and we had life scores on every team. Yeah. Great businesses measure all sorts of KPIs. Well, what if you knew how your team felt about their life? Right? And then you could see this store's sales are down and turnover is high. Well, because their life score is low, right? And so what can you do as a company about that? And so as we grow the company, I really want to focus on the more we grow, the more we can give. And in that process, we can create resources for our team. It's really tough when someone just breaks up with their boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, and it's a busy Friday shift and they're walking in, the manager's in the weeds and the person's crying and they're like, I'm so sorry to hear about that, but can you clock in? We're understaffed. Right? It'd be a lot better if they called 855 shit and there was someone to talk to them. So yeah, absolutely. Coming up with the culture is a huge portion of it, and really sitting down and kind of distilling it and making that promise. But I think kind of executing on it is another, of course, huge part of it. What are some of the kind of tactical ways that you're able to keep and make sure that people's life scores are up, or what are the ways you're going in, talking to staff and figuring out and just making sure that promise is actually being kept? Yeah. So, explaining what we just went over, our mission as a company is to inspire others to become the best version of themselves. You have that umbrella, that's the representation of it. The idea is the more full your umbrella is, the more people you can fit under it. Right. So if your life is really full, then then you're able to help people under it. If you're struggling in an area, it's hard to help somebody. And so that's kind of the whole premise of it. And as a company, as we grow, we can do the same thing, the stakeholders of our life. One of the things we do on a daily basis that I think is really, really strong, and it helps us on just managing, and it helps young managers, is we'll have our team meeting each shift, and we don't ask our team how they're doing. We ask what their number is. Because if you ask how you're doing, you usually get a BS answer, right? It's, I'm good. I'm good, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The dog could have been hit by a still good, because that's just how John is. But he's having a bad day, right? Because he just doesn't wear it on his shoulder. Well, when you ask them what their number is, and what we say is 0, I can't be doing any worse. 10, I'm peaked out in life. I'm maxed out. Like I'm never going to do any better. 5 is just kind of lukewarm. I'm living in life. Where you want to be is I'm a 7 to 8. Is I know where I am, right? I have an idea of my life score, my umbrella. I know where I want to be, and I'm actively working towards it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the sweet spot, and we talk about that. And so it's like rapid fire. Everybody knows how it works. What's your number? What's your number? What's your number? And some days it's like it's like the average is a 3. And on those days, the manager's got to be like, all right, guys, well, we all just can't close up and go to the beach to have a better day. Let's all decide to be a 7 or an 8. The next 6 hours, let's just, choose to have a great day. There's no reason to just to bring it down. Other days, everybody's really good and it's exciting. And then there's some days where 1 or 2 people are struggling and they're having a rough day. And everybody knows that we're all going to have a rough day sometimes. So it could be that it allows, it especially helps young managers, right? A young manager, emotional intelligence, they don't really know how to gauge all that stuff. But it's like, all right, well, John came in today and he's always a 7. Well, now he's a 5. Now I can talk to John, pull him aside. Maybe John needs a break. Go ahead and take an employee meal and take a break first. Or maybe we don't put John on the front lines where he's on the register or in a very high customer service position. Maybe they're doing prep or doing project cleaning or something else that they're not having to engage at that high level that's needed. Maybe they're the first ones to be cut just so they can go ahead and have some extra time. Allows you to manage the shift much better and also gives you a pulse as a manager.
Absolutely.
It's probably the best day-to-day tool that we use that ties to our mission.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, it's, someone will come in and if you don't really ask, you never know, right? Someone could need that extra attention. You can't really rely on people to guess based on kind of body language. I think sometimes people they'll come into work and they'll just try to put their best foot forward, even if they're having a really rough day for some other reason. So it kind of gives managers say, oh, well, maybe I need to pay attention to Chris today a little extra instead of just kind of assuming everything is good. So
you got it. Exactly.
And do you track kind of those scores anywhere? Like, do you record them anywhere? Just kind of see how people are over time, or?
Yeah. So for that on the daily basis, that's actually a great idea. It'd be just nice to be able to take a note and then do an average. We have a form, which is like our wheel of life or our umbrella of life that we built out as a spreadsheet and it can be done. During COVID, it was just a wild west for us. And having that, the fundamentals of the culture, we all know why the company exists, what we're working towards, but it's kind of like when the world's on fire, it's tough to like do those kind of evaluations.
Yeah.
So we're
how are you feeling today? 0. A lot of zeros, right?
Yeah. So the past 2.5 years, the culture was able to get through it and really pressure tested it, which was good.
That's awesome.
So we're going to get back to it. And I think long-term, I'd love to get an app that would be in place. And it's just as you clock in, go ahead and knock it out. And it would be a great way to do it. And on a monthly or quarterly basis, the same thing. And then you could have all of this data and resource. It'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely. I think we can probably help out with that. So I'll let you know.
So another thing that we do tying to our culture is we do a monthly event called Zunzi Fest.
Oh, cool.
And so what this is, it's our way to say thank you to our 6 stakeholders for being a part of our business and helping us grow to this point and to the future. So it's the second Tuesday of every month, and it allows us to have touch points with our 6 stakeholders. So we've got our fans. We give away through our community app, a text messaging app. You can join that, and then we'll send out a code for you to bring in. You get a free chicken sandwich or conquistador or a vegan option, the Rising Sun, a 6-inch. And then, and so you can come in and get that. You can buy chips, drinks, cookies, any extra stuff. And 26% of the sales goes to a local nonprofit. So we partner with a nonprofit that would be aligned with our mission. And we partner with them, do the press release, create the awareness. They usually come and set up a booth so they can share what they do with the fans coming in. And then we also close early and have a team party for our team. So from 6 to 8 on that day, we close at 5, close up from 6 to 8. We'll order some food. Everybody can have 2 drinks at the bar. And it's a chance for us to all get together and just kind of hang out, be thankful for the success of the business, maybe talk a little bit about why we're in business, the culture, and all those sort of things.
Nice.
We aren't trying to be too heavy during that time after we just,
of course,
put 1,000 sandwiches in 6 hours. It's just a fun day for us. So you've got our fans taken care of. You've got our team taken care of. The community, we're engaging with it. Sponsored by our vendors. So it's one of those things that we want our vendors to be a part of. All of our agreements that we put in place, they'll be discounting or providing product for us so we can basically, the goal of it is a break-even day in doing it. Our investors and our franchisees win because it's really atomic bomb, I say, of marketing, of goodwill in the community, spreading awareness of why we're in business, getting a lot of people engaged in our business that haven't heard about us. We sponsored ads through social media to join the community, and then they can opt in. And it's been unbelievable. Almost 80% of the people that come are first-time guests. Our loyal fans don't want to wait in line for an hour to get a free sandwich. They'll just come in. They love our business. But it's a great way to get people in the door.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's a great, I think that's it's pretty genius. It hits pretty much every box, right? Of course, you're, doing something for your team, doing something for your guests. It's customer acquisition, it's marketing content, it's vendor relations, it's investor relations. So yeah, that's a great, really awesome idea that just, I think, really is one day a month where you get to kind of hit on all those notes.
Yeah, and we wanted to plant that flag before we franchised. It's tough to roll something, and I've talked to a bunch of founders, CEOs of larger chains, and the one thing they say is absolutely love the idea of it. We can never do it because our franchisees wouldn't buy into it at this stage. And so, we want a very polarizing culture. We want franchisees that are 100% sold on the culture. I always tell people, the first step of our franchise process is the intro call with our director of franchising. If it checks that box, fill the application out. The third step is an hour call with me. And I talk culture like I am on this call for about an hour. And talk about cost of goods or labor or profitability. I tell you to go buy Jimmy John's. So it's just, we aren't looking for 1,000 franchisees. We get, the right franchisees that understand the culture. We know we're going to be successful with that. And
absolutely.
With Zunzi Fest, one of the reasons we wanted to do it as well, we wanted a KPI of our business. So we wanted to align our growth with something that was unlimited. And there's always the question, how big do you want to grow your brand, right? And for some people, I talked to Inspire Brand CEO, they're like, oh, you can open 500 in a couple of years. And then talk to an independent operator, and you're like, I want to open, 3 in Florida. They're like, 3 in the next 2 years? What? And there's this, it doesn't make sense. And so I said, what's one thing that's unlimited that we could do it? And that's giving. There's no matter how big you get, there's always be a need to give to the stakeholders, open up a location in a community that's underserved, that's not operating a great restaurant that can serve its stakeholders. And so with that Zunzi Fest as a KPI, our target giving per location is $26,000. And so that's 12 months a year that we're doing that. So you're looking just over $2,000 per Zunzi Fest donated to a local nonprofit. And so that way we can show, just like you would have sales, you would have labor, cost of goods, your, average review score, NPS, different things that you're looking for. For us, we have giving on there. So we can say, okay, we now open a new location. There should be another $26,000 minimum a year. And then as that grows, you can see the impact you have as a company just built in. It's just into your DNA.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like putting a KPI on culture, which is very tough to do because it's such a thing that it has so many things. But I think if your culture's not solid at that location, if you're a franchisee, you're probably not going to hit that number because you're unorganized or people aren't really down to do it, or, the relationships are strained. And I think that's a great way of tracking it.
Yeah. And, I think that's a good point. During COVID, it was just, it's a hard time. And we had been doing Zunzi Fest for a while. We had probably almost 2 years until COVID hit. And we talked to our team, and there was just like, man, we're worn out. It's been busy with busy restaurant, or, top rated takeout catering sandwich shop in Savannah, Atlanta, same thing. And I said, hey, our team isn't saying, shit about this. Let's pause it. And I put that out on social. And I said, our team just isn't ready to do Zunzi Fest. They're just burning the candle at both ends, and we're going to pause it for a few months. And we did it a few times, and our our fans really appreciated that. And I think that's part of social media. It's really designed to be a relationship. It's not supposed to be the brand talking to everybody. It's supposed to be a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have like, is it kind of like put your mask on before you put the other mask on? Like if you're not there, you're not feeling good, you can't really give to other people, or else it's just not going to be, you're going to take away from it, at the end of the day. So
correct. So that's Zunzi's, and it drives a lot of what we do. So that's how it started. Zunzibar is what we're now super excited about.
Yeah,
we've been a fast casual takeout delivery catering shop for a long time. Now we lead with this full bar experience, and we did that because we want our franchisees in our own corporate locations to have the best opportunity to succeed financially. And so we're taking the best of fast casual, limited menu, QSR, marry that with the best of full service, having high profit bar. We've got frozen drinks so we can, move those quickly. And then you've got a tip wage model. So you've got labor savings in a tip wage model. You've got experience. And that's what's really been amazing watching all that come together. And then we've leveraged with Toast as our partner, with pay at the table, with unique QR code ordering. We have 3 kiosks in the operation around our 100-seat patio, 60 seats inside. And then we have handhelds. So we really want guests now. Some guests want a full experience. They want to sit at a table and be left alone, and they're on the QR code and the food comes to them and it's great and they got their headphones on. There's others that don't want to place their order on a QR code, and we've got a server there able to do it. But it's allowed our servers now to take twice the amount of sections. They can make more money. And that combination has just been amazing over the past year.
That's incredible. And is that what you're franchising, is the Zunzibar? We
are. So it's both. It's Zunzibar plus Zunzi, like this dual branded concept.
Very cool.
And so that's been a lot of fun with that, with the mission and culture and how it ties to Zunzi. So you've got the rainbow umbrella and it represents your life.
Yeah.
Thing we just talked about. Our logo for Zunzibar is that rainbow umbrella sitting in a cocktail. And so our mission of Zunzibar is to inspire you to celebrate your life. And so everything we do, we want to own the place in our fans' mind that when something great happens in life, let's go celebrate at Zunzibar. Life's too short to just grind the whole time. Take that life a while, throw that umbrella in a cocktail, and then throw it back. And so everything we do is designed, from live music, experiential marketing, neon signs, the way it's designed to really, you've got shot skis, you've got beer shot combos, reasonably priced, bottomless mimosas, really fun happy hour, 2 hours a day, half off the entire bar, 7 days a week. We do these things because we really want to just be a place where people can always have a good time and know that. Yeah.
And with that culture, I think, it's also ensuring that that's not at the expense of the people that work there too. It's, everyone's having a good time, including the employees.
Correct. Yeah. And I think from a fast casual standpoint, fast casual and QSR, fast food can be a grind. And so taking our model that is, we're a high volume sandwich shop. We're pushing out hundreds and hundreds of sandwiches a day in this operation. They're allowed to kind of be a part of a really fun atmosphere and bar because of that. It's not just a sandwich shop pushing out sandwiches. You got live music, you got the music playing, you've got this whole interaction going. And that's really helped us in regards to attracting our team members as well.
Yeah, absolutely. On top of that amazing culture. And with that, I guess, my last question is really like kind of directed at, listeners and people that want to improve their restaurant culture. Where should people start if they kind of identify, maybe my culture could use some work? What's the most important place to kind of start that conversation?
I think if you're the owner or the founder of the business, I think you got to start with yourself and say, why are you really in the business? I think that's critically important. For me, it's not just to make money. There's so many better ways to make money in the restaurant business. And so I think you just, really focus on trying to figure out why you exist, try to align that with the business. And that way, when you have those tough days, you at least know you're working towards that. For me, our vision statement in the company is the restaurant business sucks. We're here to change it.
Yeah.
So we tell our team when we lead with that. The restaurant business sucks. Our franchise sales process, the restaurant business sucks. We're here to change it. What we say is, when you change those things in the restaurant business, you create value for your stakeholders. When you improve scheduling, ordering, R&M, facilities, You've got HR, all these things. There's death by 1,000 cuts that you can complain about.
Yeah.
We joke around, you got to learn to eat shit and like it in this business. And
Yep.
so, you'll create value for the stakeholders in doing that. And one of the ways we're doing it, so you got Zunzi Fest is one way. We're super excited.
Yep.
In August, we're about to launch a program. Restaurant employees have just been devastated over the past couple of years with COVID. Now you've got inflation going on, gas prices. There are some of the people that eat out restaurants and bars the most. And so we're launching something called 8626 from 2 to 6.
Okay.
I've mentioned number 26 throughout it for the letter Z, Zunzi, Zunzibar. But if you're in the restaurant business, you're an employee, hospitality, bar, if you come into Zunzi's between 2 to 6 every single day, we'll 26% of your check.
Okay.
And so it's when
Very cool.
shift change, it's usually the slower time of the restaurant. And so I look at that and I say, what if every restaurant did that? What if every restaurant took care of other restaurant employees from 2 to 6, usually the slowest time of the business? You're still paying for overhead. You got people there. There's food being cooked. It would decrease the cost of living of restaurant employees across the board just from them dining out from 2 to 6 at that time by 26%.
Right. Absolutely.
Just makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, I think that the way to do those sort of things is, we're going to do those things like a Zunzi Fest that are very aggressive. We're going to do 8626 from 2 to 6, very aggressive. And my goal is through growing our business, doing things our way and what we believe is the right way, we can create influence in the business, get on podcasts like you, Shifts, tell our story, and hopefully inspire other people to think outside the box and align their growth with giving.
Absolutely. And I think it's just so important to acknowledge, I think, the industry's shortcomings, because you could easily just say, this industry sucks, like you're saying. That's just what it is. Get over it.
You hear it all the time.
But I think what you're saying is it does suck and we need to change that. And let's, you see the opportunity in it. I think there's a lot of great restaurant owners that are beginning to see that opportunity, saying, this can be a great industry to work in, to work for. Hats off to you and the team for kind of recognizing that and looking to make those changes.
Well, thank you. It's change is hard when you're trying to do things that people don't understand. It'll make them kind of scratch their head. And sometimes your team members are like, why are you doing that? And I think it's why having culture from the start of why you're in business and having that well-defined, it kind of gives you permission to do things outside the box.
Absolutely. And with that, where can folks find you?
Yeah, so right now we've got our Zunzibar location is in downtown Savannah. We have our fast casual model, and that is in Atlanta. We are in the process. We're keeping the whole Florida market for corporate locations. So we're working on a joint venture deal right now. Goal is to open 3 locations in the next 24 months.
Very good.
We got some franchise deals pending right now in North Carolina and Tennessee, and we're selling franchises differently. I think bad part of the franchise business is the way franchises are sold. I've never seen more people get into my pocket with our brand than announcing franchising. And so we're taking all that in-house. We want to do it different. And we're really excited to see where it's going to take us.
Absolutely. So Atlanta, Savannah now, and soon to be, all across the Southeast. So very exciting. And thank you so much again for coming on the show today.
Shit, yeah, DJ. I'm excited. Appreciate your time.
Shit, yeah, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for checking out the Restaurant Growth Podcast presented by 7 Shifts. We're so grateful to our listeners, and we'd love to hear from all of you. Send us an email to podcast@7shifts.com and check us out on social. We're at 7 Shifts on all platforms. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.